up? What up? What up?
Well,
Game of the year time, fellas.
what a year.
Don't mean to jump the gun. I'm just excited.
It's that game of the year time. Time to talk about game of the year. Actually, what is the exact date? It's Saturday, December.
Well, it's
Sunday,
29th.
December 29th.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we're just in time. It's the end of the year. Game Related Network here to talk about our choices.
Oh yeah.
It's been an interesting year for gaming.
It definitely has.
Yeah.
It definitely has. It's gonna be an interesting discussion to go through. It's gonna be a good one. And
But first, quick introductions. My name is Kevin.
Adam.
I'm Zach.
Yeah, we're the Game Related Network crew, also known as GRN. You know, you see it down in the little corner. I don't know if I'm pointing the right way. I think it's over that way.
yeah,
it's
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, we're here to discuss what we've been doing this year and what we like the best. And I think it's a good list. You know, having our little pre-programmed discussion about this. I think we got a lot of good in store.
Yeah.
And I just want to lead off by saying before we head that way, it's a big game tonight for the Seahawks to go Hawks for the division title. I have to say it.
See,
Let's go.
football's a game.
It's a
You know,
game.
it's
Yeah.
game
It's
related network.
Speaking of games of the year, that's game of the year. So this is the day for games of the year. All right, so first category. I know we want to start off with the indie games. So
Yep. So yeah, first category for the night, we're gonna talk about the best indie game of the year.
Yep.
yeah, and you guys actually had the same choice.
Yeah,
did.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
not a game I've even actually played. A lot of these games, I haven't played shit of for new games this year, but there's been a lot of stuff that's been interesting that I want to play, and the reviews I've seen are great, and from people who I trust have played them, and I trust their reviews.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of my games are based on that feedback tonight. So
More impact based
that's
on
fair.
the
Yeah.
industry. Yeah, I mean that's fair. That's
That's-
fair, man.
That's cool.
So many games you can't get to all of them anyway. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And you've been modding Skyrim
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
hills.
Exactly.
years.
But I mean, hey, this way, when you have the time, you know which ones to get to first.
yes, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we decided my favorite game, an indie game of the year, and I did play it. It was Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah.
And yep, it was a fun time. You know, well, I mean, you know, that's how indie games are, aren't they? Sometimes they're like old school games. Sometimes they're like, you know, nothing else. And in this sense, Untitled Goose Game was. It was just that. It was a goose game. And had I been seasoned in playing the game of being a goose? No.
No, I don't think a lot of us have,
Yeah.
but
No.
I feel like it's an experience that's been lacking, you know, in the game department.
Yes.
I mean, like they really just it's such a novel concept, and the art direction is so charming and like enticing.
The music and the
Yeah.
audio design and the light piano use, it's perfect. The execution is on point. It's you know, it's light and colorful and playful, and the control of handling the goose and how he just kind of waddles about and everything. Look at him lumbering around. You know, it's great. It is really great. It's a fun time. You know, you're gonna crack a smile multiple times as you go through this. But yeah, there's a to-do list when you do every time, and it's like you gotta do a certain amount of things to fuck with people,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I love it. It's
Yeah.
really fun. So yeah, that was my indie game of the year. Now that being said, your pick, honestly, had I played it this year, might have been my pick instead. But I haven't played it, and I don't know. I definitely want to. I really do. It looks great. But
I mean, Goose Game looks great to me.
does.
I've almost
I mean, it
come
is.
this close to getting it a couple
Yeah.
of times. I'm going to.
Yeah.
I mean, you see how I operate in life anyway. I like to fuck with people, just have fun, and get to
Exactly.
do it as a goose. Yeah, but mine was actually Katana Zero, and that game you're playing an assassin who really doesn't know who they are and why they're doing what they're doing, and you're kind of getting the story as it develops, and you go to counseling sessions and all this throughout the thing. You get the backdrop, and it becomes more and more clear as to what the motivation was going on.
Yeah.
right.
But as far as the gameplay, it's dope. It's got the one-hit kill mechanism, but you die in one hit as well. You know what I mean? You go through and you can strategize everything, and it shows you a replay of all of it. So like,
Cool.
the whole premise is when you're playing it, it's like you're in the assassin's mind planning the attack. And
Yeah.
that's kind of him visualizing. And then it shows a replay of it going a lot faster and smoother and all that. But as far as just the action, you can deflect bullets in real time. You can slow time down or not. they recommend it's like a tactic of the game, but like how we're watching right now.
Yeah.
This person is not using the time mechanism. It's kind of blowing my mind watching this in real time right now. This person is really good at this game.
Nice.
And it's if you want, this game takes a lot of skill. You know, like a lot of indie games aren't afraid to do that, make them hard, like back in the day, you know. And I don't know, I've had a lot of fun, man, just playing this. I didn't know what to expect. I bought it on a whim. I didn't even know really what it was. It was on sale for like $8 one day. I was like, okay, let's check it out.
I like it when you take chances and you get pleasantly surprised like that.
Yeah, sometimes the payoff is huge and it's just worth it. And I mean,
all about.
Exactly. And seeing this right now, it's like, dang, that's understandable. Like the animation and how smooth things look and how it looks like it presents a challenge, but also is really stylistic. That. Yeah, I want it. I want it.
And the way it tells a story is awesome too. And I'll say this too before we move on to the next thing. Devolver Digital.
Devolver
High
Digital,
quality.
Yeah.
High quality, man. Anything they put out, I'm willing to take a flyer on at least, man. They've definitely got me on their squad, man. And that's one of my favorite games from them so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that covers it for the indie game. I think we had some good indie showings. I want to give an honorable mention to Valfaris. This is a game I spent a lot of time playing. And my friend Pedro too, another Devolver game.
Yep.
Yeah, if I had to make another shout out, I did pick up Stardew Valley this year. It didn't come out this year, but I just got it recently on the Switch and started diving in. It's very fun. And I really want to pick up Disco Elysium because I've heard such good things about that game.
Yep.
And it's on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heard nothing but good things about it. Ever since the Game Awards, that a lot of discussion started to come up about it, and people started to play it and talk about it, and it's like, oh. Sounds pretty good. Yeah. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
That being said, as far as honorable, I'll just throw one in really quick. Well, actually, two. Slay the Spire. That's a pretty fun one that I got to play before its official release, when it was still in, development or whatever. Or what was it? Early access. That's it. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. And also, not that I've played it, but I played the original, and I'm gonna play the sequel once I get a new mouse. One Finger Death Punch 2. The sequel came out, and it's just you just click on the left and right. I probably mentioned it like a year ago on a podcast, but it's like a just stick figure fighting game.
Cool.
I'm definitely gonna get that sequel eventually. But yeah, shout out
for getting over it, bro.
Yeah. Oh. Well, I guess did that come out? I don't think that came out.
No, it didn't. But you definitely subjected yourself to its masochistic ways.
Did I even mention on the show that I beat it?
I feel like you did because you mentioned how you successfully sequentially beat it faster and faster.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Well, that was a thing that happened. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Oh, it cracks me up that you even did that, dude. That's. Never. I don't ever want to spend a second with that game.
Do you guys want to come back to this later, or do you want to think? Do you know the answer? Indie game of the decade.
Ooh. I've got one. Yeah, for that.
Okay.
I can mention.
I might think about that.
Let's save that.
I'd say let's save it because at first I thought I knew, and then I kind of had to think about it. But we'll get to that. So as far as indie games, 2019 was pretty good.
Yeah, definitely a good year.
Fall Forest looks awesome.
And we did see also some new IPs drop this year. That was gonna be our next category. So, so the best new intellectual property, the best new thing, new concept, not a sequel, not a remaster. Not like just a release on like a new generation or anything like that. Like brand new thing. So what do you guys got?
I mean, it's hard for me not to choose. I didn't play it. I have to give a disclaimer, but it's hard for me not to choose Sekiro.
It's going to be.
I did watch it in person several times with this guy, and he definitely filled me in on his playthroughs and adventures and exploits throughout his time with it. And I can't find anything that doesn't
really,
make me feel like that.
It's hard to beat. I mean, as far as a new, especially from Software. So like weird to say that. Like everybody's loved the Dark Souls games, but it was time for something fresh and new. And you can see where they've grown from that and what they've learned, or at least it's nice to see them do a new art style and like come at things from a different angle.
Yeah, a very different angle.
Yeah.
Very different angle.
Yeah, when you do play it, that main thing is gonna be the gameplay, the combat mostly, and as far as like the boss fights and how how the flow of the fight works, and it's kind of like Katana Zero in that sense, where it's like it's that blending of cinematic feeling and challenge, and actually having it be a fun, challenging game that's also fun to watch, and it's like that it just like with. I could go into this whole thing with like Dark Souls initially when that first Dark Souls came out and when Demon Souls was coming out. It was like the combat was a little more conservative. You were holding your shield up a lot and playing defensive a lot. And in Bloodborne, the answer to that was take away shields that people have to either dodge or get in and do damage. Yeah. And they encourage you going in to do damage because of that like system where when you hit, if you just took damage, if you do hit a couple times back, you get back slices of health. And that's that was one way of kind of being like sort of an answer to encourage aggression in Bloodborne's combat. And then Sekiro comes in and just kind of really changes it up because it's all like you only have one weapon and that's your sword, but there's a bunch of different tools, prosthetic tools for your hand, and how that changes up combat kind of depends on the type of enemies you're facing, and the whole posture thing and taking away the stamina bar, and the combat was just it's just really good. It's just really good, and I'm gonna be talking about a lot of Sekiro tonight. Sekiro's winning a lot of awards. We'll get to that
for sure,
but it is my favorite new IP as well. There's little to no contest. I mean, I gotta agree with your answer as well, to be honest, because it was the fact that it was able to do what it did is something that a lot of games can't right now.
Yeah, and I was going to throw in Apex Legends as the new IP. I'm not really a Battle Royale fan, but the game came in, made a big splash, and I really respect what Respawn's doing as a developer. And seeing how they've diversified and shown their strengths with both a really strong single-player campaign in Jedi Fallen Order, and also like running a good multiplayer game. Like I still see friends on my friends list playing it regularly, so there's got to be something there. I don't know. And it's it's just nice because like it was the Battle Royale thing. I feel like it had saturated the market in a bad way, and it needed another good complement to PUBG and like Fortnite. Because I was sick of just seeing it get implemented in other games, and like I don't know, once you get somebody else who does it right and like other people just kind of give up on it, I don't know. I feel like we're kind of over the Battle Royale thing now.
Exactly. It's getting some healthy competition in there. It's like they're kind of figuring out, if we want to compete with Fortnite, we got to actually do a whole new thing and make it its own new thing instead of just tacking it onto, Fallout or something.
No, and then Fortnite went ahead and, kind of took some influence from Respawn and implemented like the pinging system and other small features, so it's like, they definitely they knew what they're doing. They did something right.
Exactly. It kind of makes them both stay on their toes and want to offer more to players and, provide value. Yeah. And, that's it's going to be interesting to see where that goes going forward.
For sure.
Yeah. The way they dropped it out of nowhere too was really cool.
Yeah, it was
really cool.
It was a huge surprise.
Yeah. I really dug that approach. And here's that.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see why. I mean, I it wouldn't have if I were in charge of the Game Awards that Jeff Keighley hosted. It wouldn't have been my choice for best multiplayer, but it would have been my number 2 choice. Obviously, Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Smash Bros. That's. Oh, if it only released in January, I think people would give that thing a lot more due.
Yeah, but I got my love out for Smash Bros. Last year, so
True.
I'm satisfied. You all get it. I like Smash Bros.
It's a great game. It's a great game.
Good stuff. 100%.
So we got next on the
coming up next is going to be the Studio of the Year.
Studio of the Year.
Ooh, I think we had a good segue.
Yep.
That last little portion. If you don't mind me starting off because of that. I mean, like Respawn for me, I feel because of Apex is a big deal, but mostly, personally, for me, Jedi Fallen Order in the direction they're going with it and trying to be that single player, ambitious, go from planet to planet, embodying Star Wars in a game the way I feel like it should have been attempted at least. Maybe not executed and successfully done, but attempted, and they succeeded with it. I don't know, man. That's hard for me to argue against. I mean, but also, you know, there's other arguments. I'm kind of signing away because I know this is your guys' pick too. Yeah. I highly considered some of those, but I guess for me, because of Star Wars more than Apex. I didn't play the Apex, but Star Wars is awesome, and I'm loving it and grateful for it.
Yeah, I did play Apex. It's pretty good.
I played Titanfall based off of that.
It's a wonderful multiplayer game. Yeah, no, I did download Titanfall 2. It's the free game for PlayStation this month.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna play through that campaign and at least try the multiplayer out. But I mean, you know, that's discussion for another time. I have too many games. But yeah, so let's see. I think you and I kind of had the same pick for best developer of the year, and that would have been Capcom.
Yeah.
You know, they just had. You know, we were saying before we aired that you know, they had 3 big hitters this year. All, as far as I'm concerned, they're all arguably 9 and 10 out of 10 quality games. And those were you know, Resident Evil 2 remake in January, Devil May Cry in March, and Monster Hunter World Iceborne in September. And I mean, Iceborne, man, that had enough content to be considered like basically a sequel. It was a huge offering. It had basically as many monsters and as much content as the original base game had. Almost. Pretty much.
That's crazy.
It's
that
pretty
is
wild.
crazy.
I mean, each of those games was so fun. I mean, I'm still playing through Devil May Cry, but I mean, like, Resident Evil 2 remake, that's probably my favorite Resident Evil now, which is, you know, it used to be 4, and I kind of like this one more, to be honest.
Well, that's what I love about Capcom is they've really been using their IPs and bringing them into the new generations in the right way.
Exactly.
There's a lot going on with the Resident Evil games, and you know, I'm excited to see other properties get a refresh. But
did you hear about the rumors of Dino Crisis?
Oh, yeah.
No.
That's one I'm hearing starting to float around, and I'm really excited about that. Even then, with Onimusha too, you know, there's just so much cool stuff they have in their backlog that some of it would be so well served, but to be remade, you know, especially with their old control schemes, the tank controls just weren't the move.
Oh yeah.
And you have so much more horsepower to do everything with now.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's fun to speculate about mentally. Really fun to speculate about.
And that's what's been cool is like seeing how they're pushing the technical limits with like something like Resident Evil, where you know you have the baseline of the original game, and you get to see it really like brought to life and just expanded upon, but also they treat it with the right respect. You know, they don't fuck it up. It's not like a different feel or like a different game. Like its heart's still there.
Fully. I gotta say this too. So I mean, I'm playing those games on PC. They've got those games well optimized. They run so smoothly. But Devil May Cry surprised me. The game set itself to just its max settings at 4K on my rig, and I was like, okay, this. I've seen footage of this game. I'm a little nervous. And how fast and smooth you need that game to be. And lo and behold, it hasn't missed a beat, man. And I mean, I have a good rig. I don't have like the top of the top, whatever. It means a rig that should run most stuff pretty good, but I mean, that game just seemed like it might give it a problem. But Capcom's done a hell of a job with their engine and with their PC releases to make them run like butter, man.
No, it's been great. Capcom, man, they know what they're doing right now. It's pretty nice.
Makes me happy too, man, because they're one of the original marquee developers that I remember coming across from like Street Fighter and all that. And you hear that, and their logo would pop up. Like Capcom. Just saying Capcom feels nice. That's like the epitome of video games, you know. That's what made it sad when Konami fell off. I looked at them
exactly
the same
who I was going to bring up. You know,
that's funny.
It's hilarious. A good thing that Capcom has gone down the road they have instead of doing what Konami has and just like, you know, mobile market, pachinko machines, and you know, all. That's the only reason they still hold on to the Silent Hill IP is so they can fucking have slot machines.
Let it go. It's not a slot machine IP, man. That's the scariest video game experience of my life. That first one, remember how they used to say it'll mess with you, with your mind? That was like the catchphrase in the commercial. I feel like somebody's like, it'll mess with your mind, something like that. It was not a joke. Dude, that little radio was such a great effect. Okay. Have you guys played the original? Have you played it?
Silent Hill?
The original one, yeah.
No.
Oh,
no, I haven't
shit.
played any of them.
So
I played PT, that's it.
Okay, well, you get an idea from how scary PT was. Like back in PS1 era, that Silent Hill was that compared to Resident Evil. Resident Evil, I would say back then was more like an intense survival thing. Yeah. Silent Hill was scary because they'd give you this little radio. This is how you would find out things were close. Whenever they get in your vicinity, static would start like faintly. Which you couldn't tell where the fucking shit was coming from. You had to go. Oh man, it just. There's so much about Silent Hill. I hope you guys play that game.
I won't.
I hope.
But I'll gladly listen to your stories.
I think I'll start with Resident Evil 7.
Yeah. It's superior at this point. I mean, if Konami could get back in the game and follow Capcom's lead, fuck making new games. Just cool. Redo your old shit, Konami, and make your slot machines and mobile games too. I don't care.
Have
just
you guys heard that Hideo Kojima, apparently, I don't remember exactly where I heard this from or what the details of it were, but the next game Hideo Kojima might be working on might be a horror game where he tries to take the elements of ideas that he had for PT and Silent Hills and implement them in his own intellectual property from Kojima Productions.
That'd be cool.
I would love that.
I would love that too.
Have you seen all the data mine stuff that's been coming out about PT? Where the guys going in and they find out like bitches all behind you.
Oh yeah, I did hear that. Yeah.
But then like they found out how to break out into the street and start wandering around.
I heard about that.
But at a certain part you fall through the map. But even then she catches you and kills you. It's just they even accounted for people hacking the system and going. So it'd be fun to see somebody who's that thorough and wants to mess with you that bad. What he could do with a fully fleshed out game and a team of people making it.
No. I heard that there was going to be things like. You would get like emails or texts.
Oh wow! I
or
did hear about that
else,
actually.
But,
no, I think I heard about that, and it could be. That would be.
Oh my god! Stay out of my life, Hideo. It's cool, man. Like we play your game. Don't invade my real life, bro. I don't.
You just send you like a stamped mail, like envelope.
Oh, and the stamp is just rimmed glasses. Like you know whose glasses those are.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, please do that. Like make it Silent Hill, but not Silent Hill.
Well, that's the thing, man. That's a demo for a game that doesn't exist, and that's the scariest game I've ever played.
We're lucky it was a demo.
Yeah.
We're lucky that game never came out. I'm convinced.
We couldn't handle it, so we got Death Stranding instead.
Yeah. Real talk. Oh man, I want to play that game too. But I don't want to get caught up in too sidetracked from our game. But man, that's it's exciting to see what he might do though, because he's got such a diverse background. We haven't seen horror, but his storytelling background is diverse. Goes way back too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Way back, even like graphic novel style games, all that, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Man. That guy might be the most, in my life, I don't know, I might give him that Lifetime Achievement Award out of all the developers for me. I don't know.
For sure. I mean, at this point, he's been one of those developers where they have such a strong voice.
Yeah.
You know, and like watching them release game after game, I don't know.
I mean, the only other two that I can think of,
or whatever you would call that shit.
I mean, the only other two I can think of would be like, along with Kojima, for me personally, they would be Shigeru Miyamoto, who's like, the legend, created Mario and Zelda, and obviously, that stuff. But also Hidetaka Miyazaki with what he's done with those FromSoft games. He won a Game of the Year award. You guys, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Yeah. I'm just really happy.
Who's that guy from Tecmo back in the day? He was like the rockstar. Basically, JP from Grandma's Boy is based on this guy. He made Ninja Gaiden and shit. Oh, awesome. I'll try to remember and show you guys after the show. Oh man, you just reminded me of this guy existed when you said, "Holy shit." Anyway.
So what's next?
The next category is the biggest disappointment for the year.
Ooh.
It was a pretty disappointing year on a lot of fronts. I mean, there were some pretty big upsets leading right into the year, and then starting off the year, and then kind of later in the year as well.
That's fair. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, for me, biggest disappointment is Anthem. I was just cautiously optimistic about it.
It looked cool, man.
It did, yeah. It looked like
the
it
shit
had some
looked
cool.
Cool.
I want to fly around in a space suit and like fuck shit up, but it was just not there. I mean, it's already been beat to death. Everybody knows what the issues are, but it was just sad. It's like you could have been a good game.
Could have been great.
Like they kind of like just didn't do anything about it for the whole year either.
Yeah,
like
yeah. They took their time trying to fix it. Like they really haven't put a lot of effort in, and this team's been stripped away. But I've heard they're coming up with some kind of like resurgence.
Yeah, that's been the word going around as of late, but that's been pretty recent. I mean that came out in February, and we're only just hearing about that kind of stuff in December.
Yeah.
So, I mean that's understandable. I mean, BioWare, man, what a fall from grace! Like, I just got Knights of the Old Republic, and I'm gonna play it through for the first time, and I'll let you guys know what I think. I'm
it's
excited
gonna make
to
you
give
sad and happy at the same time. You're like, wait,
exactly.
this is what?
Well, I mean, it's like I played through all Mass Effect. All three of those games are just legend. Like that's a wonderful trilogy right there. I never played Andromeda. I watched you play it when it first came out, but only a little bit. But
another huge disappointment. Oh,
yeah,
man.
I mean, as far as disappointments of the decade, if we were gonna go into that, we're not gonna go into that. But if we were going to,
Andromeda's mine.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Mass Effect. That's how much I loved Mass Effect, and I don't want to get too much into it, but the fact that it brought a halt to one of the greatest sci-fi series of any kind that I've experienced is just a travesty, man.
I'm having a hard time arguing with any. Like, I don't know what else I could think of as far as that much disappointment. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well,
you guys got the same one for this year, and it's hard for me to argue that. I can't even say like mine's more disappointing to me than that. It's just different and equally disappointing. So it's just another developer that's fallen from it, Bethesda, but the Fallout First or just the wake of Fallout 76. I mean, because Fallout First is part of that. Yeah. And just again, like what the fuck are you guys doing about any of these issues? You even come out in it was an E3. It's like, hey, we had a rough year or whatever, and it's like. This isn't a joke, man. Those are people's money. Yeah. Like, you didn't just have a rough year. You ripped people off. You gave them false stuff that you didn't, like the bags, the rums, and then you come out with Fallout First for $100 annually.
They broke their promise with not having microtransactions that were just cosmetic.
Exactly, and then they tried to cover it up, saying, "Oh, yeah, well, I mean, we only meant like not gameplay altering. It's not pay to win. That's what we were like. They tried to kind of play that card, and then they were called out on it, and then they try and they've been trying to play it off like they haven't been doing anything wrong in as far as the tone goes for their stuff, and it's just like it's pretty.
It's just shitty.
Banning the one guy who loves your game enough to just grind and stockpile shit. The one person.
That was funny.
But I mean, it's like from all this mess, you also get the reaction of the wave back. So it's like, when Fallout first came out, they didn't claim the domain name for the website, which we talked about when we talked about Fallout First and everything, and that was hilarious. And then it's like, I'm not saying this part of it is great, but the people who paid for Fallout First were like, calling the people who didn't pay for it peasants and whatever. And I mean, here's the thing: the whole argument is based on you can't afford it, but it's like, no, they're just smarter with their money.
Yeah. Like, don't want to pay for it. Yeah,
they just know it's not worth the money. Like,
there was like a revolt of people in the game who didn't pay for it. Were attacking people who had paid for it.
That's the thing. They created a whole
class warfare.
In-game
Get
warfare.
The bourgeoisie. Oh shit!
And that's exactly that. It's beautiful. It's like, even if there's all this nonsense coming out of it, and it's like, I'm not defending the game by any means, but the fact is, like, we're in an age of gaming now where games have this by-service online interactive nature where things like this can happen. So it's like, it's still interesting to see, and unlike BioWare, at least, like, they're doing things to fix some stuff. I mean, yeah, it's all shady, and, like, you know, they didn't bring the NPCs back this year, and it got delayed, and Fallout First and everything. And I'm not saying they're doing it right.
Bro.
They're not doing it right by Daft Punk on Random Access Memories.
Oh, doing it right. We need to patch in NPCs into a game in 2019.
Well, they're not patching
in 2020.
It's I would say
fuck.
It's not. They're not. There's NPCs in the game already. There's no humans.
Yeah,
that's what
the only NPCs are like robots and like
yeah. I guess, but it was. I will say it was a design choice. It's not like the game was broken. And it's like.
Oh, I know that. Like you chose to do that.
Yeah,
that's more like
it makes sense in a certain narrative if you were to do it the right way. But for a game like this, for Fallout, it didn't feel right, and it felt like a cop out, really. So no, I don't. I'm not trying to like just defend it, but I mean like it wasn't like it was like a technical issue.
They just like could have. They honestly just could have used another year to like play test it and get quality check and quality of life and debug and all that stuff taken care of at least to some degree. Now, I mean, here's the thing: my roommate is currently doing a Fallout 4 playthrough.
Nice.
And he's doing a baseball playthrough, so he only uses a baseball with a couple of sharp gears at the end of it, and he wears the baseball outfit, and he has the perk where he teleports over to the people to melee them.
And that's
yeah, exactly. So he's doing all baseball, and his companion is wearing the baseball outfit and has the same weapon and everything.
Hell yeah.
So it's just two baseball players beating the shit out of everyone. But I guess my point is it's still just like that game is glitchy as shit too. And I mean, it's Bethesda's best-selling game. I think it's sold better than Skyrim even. Well, I don't know about Skyrim, but it's sold better than any other Fallout game for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I don't know. I didn't play 76, so I can't say how glitchy it is. But I mean, Bethesda's.
It looks like they exposed how much they need their modders.
I just really wish
they exposed that.
Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword in that regard. I mean, like on a single-player game, it doesn't make as much of a difference in some ways if your game is glitchy, But if you have a multiplayer game where like the gameplay's like where there's variables that are dependent on interactions with other people or things of that nature, that's where like the bugs are less acceptable, like so they're showing their absolute weaknesses by creating like a multiplayer game and not getting their shit together for it. It would have been, I don't know. Like it's one thing like to see like an NPC like fall out of the sky like in the distance or like or like get launched in the air by like a giant in the Skyrim, or like see something bug out like physics wise, but like when you get like dupe glitches or I don't know, all sorts of like weird sync issues and stuff, I don't know, exploits and stuff like that in an online game. That's where the just shit gets broken. That's just fun. Nobody wants to play that.
It's a great example of hubris.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just the disconnect between what you think of yourself and what you actually are ready to do.
I hope they
in the
feel
moment.
Humbled, or at least somebody does.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they do though. If I'm being real, I don't.
I mean, Starfield is kind of the big like make it or break it for him right now. So.
For me, that's like, do I trust Bethesda going forward? Starfield is the
they really need to learn how to optimize that engine with if they're going to stick with that engine, which they apparently are, they need to optimize it with the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and whatever's happening. So
well, I'm hoping if the technical limitations of the next gen consoles are such that they can allow them to make those improvements where they're not having to develop for the lowest common denominator of consoles,
right,
that they can improve that quality, because that could be a big thing. I mean, like if their development is such that they're trying to target that min spec for consoles and PC or whatever, but console is their main development platform. That could be a big thing. That might be actually a big consideration.
See what happens with Justice thing.
Fingers crossed. I mean, we want Bethesda to succeed.
Yeah, I would love to see them bounce back. Yeah. Love to see BioWare bounce back.
Yeah.
More than Bethesda, I would love to see BioWare bounce back. Personally,
right?
If I could pick anyone to be thriving as a game studio, it might be them, man.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's the thing. It's like, the fact that Fallout 76 did as bad as it did and continued to just be a stinker. Like, I wouldn't touch that game with a 37.5-foot pole.
I'm gonna play that shit with your controller, man.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's like that game and its failures just kind of made this other certain game just get so much hype this year. And we're still on the discussion for biggest disappointments. And this is the one that you were, like you say, Kevin and I kind of agree on. And that is Outer Worlds. Yes, indeed, the game-related network is not entirely. We're not speaking for Adam, but I mean,
I don't have enough experience to have an opinion yet. I'm only like an hour or two in.
We're,
I just speaking on the relatively short experience I had with it as well. I mean, I only played 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, same.
Like I got through most of the first area. I just didn't feel inspired to play through the rest of it, and it just felt like, I don't know, it just wasn't packaged correctly, and it just kind of seemed half-assed in some areas. Like, it was kind of funny, kind of good dialogue here and there.
You could tell where the focus was.
Yeah, it didn't feel fleshed out in the right way.
Exactly.
And I don't know, it didn't intrigue me. There wasn't like you were saying earlier, like you didn't feel like what's going to be around the corner. Like,
exactly. It wasn't designed in a way where you were, eager to figure out where everything was and, kind of explore and make it your, the world is your oyster and have that kind of attitude. And that's the thing that makes, games like Fallout and Skyrim and Elder Scrolls so appealing is that, you can go wherever you want and do whatever you want. And, while Obsidian had done really good with Fallout New Vegas and kind of made this, pretty decent game in a short period of time and, have these factions and different choices and good dialogue. And that, again, you can tell where the focus is. And it's in the dialogue, it's in the tone, it's in the themes, it's in the writing and the characters. And it all deserves merit. But is that a Game of the Year nominee? Like, not here.
And I think that's where my disappointment lies. Is I wanted it to be like Game of Year status.
Exactly. I mean,
it was getting hyped up the way it was too. That's what I was going to ask you guys. Do you think your disappointment with it has anything to do with maybe expectations that were created before you got your hands on it? Because I've heard everybody raving about this game.
Yeah.
And I think, again, going back to the Fall 76, some of that might just be in response to just the absolute disappointment they felt that even decent felt amazing. You know?
For sure.
But
I think that's definitely part of it. People just wanted to have that itch scratched, and they got most of that, I think, with Outer Worlds, and it's a good game. Yeah. But it wasn't great, and I wanted it to be like
okay. Yeah. So what you're saying is you're disappointed that it's not a great game, but you're not saying it's a bad game.
No. Yeah.
It's just not
I get what
that
you.
Good.
It's just not as good as the gaming outlets and most channels even have been kind of making it out to be. It's not that good.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. It's like how those people feel about Control, like how that got nominated for Game of the Year, and people are like, I don't know about that. That's how I feel about Outer Worlds. I think there was other stuff that, like, Devil May Cry 5 should have been nominated instead of Outer Worlds, or Fire Emblem Three Houses could have been nominated instead of Outer Worlds, as far as like Jeff Keighley's Game of the Year, or Game of the Year, Game Awards Game of the Year. But yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to take too much time on this one just because I wanted to mention a little bit. Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Oh, sure. No, definitely worth
the we're moving on. Okay. So here's the other thing. And this kind of makes it so that it's obvious what my Game of the Year is going to be. But you know what, you guys? I will say this. And I hate to say this. I liked Death Stranding. But I was a little disappointed. I was a little disappointed, and I needed to let that, feeling sink in and accept it. But Death Stranding, man, it was great. But you know what, man? I expected for it to be like a complete mind blower, and it wasn't that. It was not that. I knew that I was going to enjoy it more than most people, but I did let my expectations get the best of me. And if I were to like actually look back on our videos, that would, I mean, if anyone were to, that would be pretty clear.
Yeah.
And I was pretty excited for it.
Absolutely.
But, you know,
I mean,
it's
rightfully
understandable.
so, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's
shrouded
Kojima.
in mystery
Shrouded
as
in
Kojima.
mystery,
Yeah.
it's the intrigue and everything, and it's like, you know, I learned something about marketing. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Well
That's
put.
so funny. Oh my god.
Well put. That was great.
Yeah.
But, you know, I did like it. It's still a really good game. It's, you know, I if you guys want to, you know, talk about it, I'm going to bring it up. It's my best graphics game of the year. I'll say
That's a good segue. That's the next category. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So I thought it was coming up. So I think that was my best visual game of the year. I mean, like that Decima engine, it's impressive.
Yeah.
What he decided to do with it and focus on was impressive. It's like, you know, you see some games where it's like, you know, you have just this, you have a big overlook on some overworld around you, and you can see the same patch of grass being copied and pasted like tiles on a floor.
Yeah.
And, you know, it just, the world of Death Stranding did not have that. Every single fucking pebble felt individually placed.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. And obviously the bodies and the facial expressions and all the mocap and the eyes specifically of the characters looked really good. It was something about the lighting and the reflection of characters' eyes and how their eyelids and, you know, their facial muscles and everything kind of worked. It looks great. It looks great. I mean, it's like, it's Guillermo del Toro, but it's not. It's someone who's got the similar skeletal structure who's pretending that he looks like Guillermo del Toro. It's great. But I mean, is it one of my biggest disappointments? No. It's just I tried to keep my expectations within check, but at the same time, it's like, you know, maybe I should calm down a bit for the next one.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it was Hideo's first like original IP for you know, for a long time, like moving away from Metal Gear. So there's a lot of hype from that. And I think people maybe were expecting I don't know, because like you said, the marketing leading into it definitely implies a lot of intrigue, but the gameplay footage was always kind of sparse, and I think the gameplay footage maybe was more revealing than we expected. It's kind of the vibe I'm getting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like we're all like, oh, cool, look, like he's like going from place to place. Wonder what's going to happen when you're going from place to place in that game.
Exactly.
But a lot of the game is just going from place to place up a hill.
It's going place to place, you know? It's like, oh, look at that. He's walking across a ladder, and oh, what if he falls? That would really suck.
You gotta go pick up your shit.
You gotta go pick up your shit and go the long way. And oh, you know, here's the thing, man. I wouldn't be as disappointed if not for the function, the singular function in that game where your bridge baby needs to be calmed down. Sometimes you take a fall or you take damage or you're near a bunch of ghosts or whatever's and you gotta fucking just stop whatever you're doing and fucking take the baby out and you gotta just rock it. And here's the thing, you guys. This is a knock on the game and a kudos to the game because I hate how accurate the actual motion control is that it's required. You actually have to treat your fucking controller like a baby and have that exact like genuine rocking motion. You can't look at the TV and just kind of go yada 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 because then you shake it. If you shake it too hard, then the baby will start to actually lose, you know, its bar of like whatever.
Babiness.
So you gotta actually fucking do this, and he did that on purpose. And you can tell that he like told his programmers, yes, you gotta make it so that the controller, you gotta get this right. You gotta make sure that the controller has to be gently rocked. You gotta bob it. And it interrupts the gameplay, and it's like, man, trekking one place to the other, I'm pretty patient, but that's the string that breaks the camel's back. And as far as the pacing of the gameplay, to me personally, I can handle the weight distribution and the micromanagement and the going the long way around to make sure that you don't lose all this important stuff. But I had another point I wanted to bring up on that front, and I kind of forgot it, but I'm just gonna let it be. It was great.
Yeah, but the graphics though.
It was the best.
It's still despite all that.
It's pretty awesome.
What's cool about that? You played it on PS4.
Yeah.
Was it a base PS4 or Pro you played it on?
Base.
And he got graphics together. That's amazing. And the fact that it's coming out this summer on PC.
Yeah.
What is that gonna look like?
Oh,
you know.
Yeah. That's gonna be nice. That's gonna be pretty good. I think I think you guys are in for a treat when that comes around. But it wasn't the only thing that came out, or is gonna come out on PC that got a really good,
Yeah. Because that was going to be, for me, my graphics game of the year, or the game of this year that has the best graphics is Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC.
On PC, yeah.
On the PC.
I can, honestly, you did show me, actually. You got to show me some gameplay of it on your computer, and gosh, diddly darn. This game, you guys, and you're going through the story, you said.
Yeah. I'm towards the end of Chapter 3, I'm pretty sure right now, and it's just so gorgeous going from place to place. I mean, there's times where it's photorealistic almost. I mean, I've got some screenshots I wish I had brought with me.
Yeah.
Or uploaded, but
I mean, this is what they've been working on since Grand Theft Auto 5. You know, so it's like, gosh, you can see where the work's been put in.
It's paid off, and I don't know, man. It's super smooth, and what I love about these games is they take the time to implement the keyboard and mouse and controller compatibility so well, where I have my controller just off to the side and my keyboard and mouse. So like when I'm doing like a shootout, I go keyboard and mouse, but when I'm like riding my horse or like a boat or something, like I'm like on the controller.
That's cool.
And you just swap back and forth. That's like really on the fly.
You
can do one in each hand. I did that. I was trying it out. Like I was like, I was transitioning, and I was moving my horse, and I picked up my controller, and like I was moving the camera a little bit while I adjusted, and then just like moved over, and it just felt natural, and I don't know. The game is just so deep too. I mean, it's all the little like visual things like stack up, and the fidelity's all there, and it's also diegetic. Like everything's in the game. Like looking at the manuals when you go to buy something at the store, you look in the catalog rather, and like like actually flip through pages and like buy it from there. And I don't know, I like the art style, and it's just like the level of detail for things in the distance for GLODs. It's outrageous.
It is a pretty one, man.
Part of me does wish I had held out like you guys. But dang, I gotta commend you both for your patience. I don't know how you did it. Like the instant that game came out, I was like, okay, I'm off work. I'm going to get my copy.
It's
I
one
gotta
of those
play
games,
it.
though. I mean, like if you've got the means to play it, like if I don't have a console,
that's the
so
thing.
It's easy for me to not buy it on a console. But I don't know. I know with a game like that, it's nice going on my first go around with it, and I don't know,
I'd re-download it if I had enough memory to, because I mean that online is probably still getting updated. I've heard some things about it, but I mean that's a discussion for another time. We'll see where that lies in a few months at some point. I mean, you guys will probably get to the multiplayer once you're done with the story, I assume.
Depending on what Spring does to me, if I have time in my life.
That's the other thing. We'll get there.
Yeah,
we'll get to that.
But that thing. And speaking of like the multiple control layouts, I always wanted Grand Theft Auto to let you have like a steering wheel.
Oh yeah.
When you get in your car, and when you get out, let you just have the controller.
Yeah.
I hope in the next one that could be a thing, because that would be for even then with the Jets. Steering wheel, flight stick, controller.
I know, right?
Let's go.
Well, I've got some. We'll have to talk about it next time. But there's a really good VR mod happening right now with GTA 5. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that next time.
I wasn't ready for that.
Wasn't ready. I'll tease that for now.
That's.
I was ready to forget about my best graphics game.
Yeah.
So I don't have GTA on computer yet, but
you're getting it.
Good yep. I am now.
Yeah.
GTA Online.
I don't know if it works online, but if it did.
Oh my god.
If it does.
You guys want to pull some capers?
Yeah.
Hijinks?
Definitely.
Crazy. It'll be crazy.
Easy.
Ooh,
but yeah, that I mean, Rockstar knows what they're doing visually, and I'm excited to let their art grace my screen.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's your game though?
So mine, it came down between two, and I ended up choosing one, but I'll mention the one I didn't choose first. I didn't pull up any footage or anything for it, but the runner-up in my mind was Gears 5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
that's fair.
And honestly, before the show, we kind of opened up the criteria to art direction as well.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the two initially I was going through, but the one I chose in Gears 5, but then it made me want to mention Link's Awakening for the art style of it.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't play the game. I just seen a bunch of footage of it. It's that panorama style. It looks like you're controlling little toys and in their own little world, it looks cool. But I ended up going with Devil May Cry 5. And I think that game looks phenomenal, partially because of just the raw visuals of it, but also just because of how fast the action is, the kind of enemies, the subject matter they cover lends itself to having such visual diversity in the game, And like we mentioned earlier with Capcom's engines, how well optimized it is. It is butter every time you play it. And then the lighting, the HDR implementation is great, man. I played on a pretty big HDR screen, and lighting and like the color, the dynamic range of the color is something that really, for me, can make the visuals more so than even like texture details and all that stuff.
For sure.
And both of those games, even Gears 5 might have better HDR than Devil May Cry 5, but I don't know, man. Just something about the art direction and the way they executed everything. It's just amazing to look at. My jaw dropped from the first scene. I literally stood there, didn't move, and just let the camera pan around. Like, oh my god,
that's awesome.
And there's just so much in the backgrounds, and you can even see it from here from a distance. We're watching on a smaller monitor, and they can't see what we're watching on. But even watching it from here on the small one, I'm just like, whoa. Just your eyes are drinking everything in,
Yeah, some of the particle effects, really like dynamic lighting, like you said, and really like high detail, high poly models, and textures look solid. Yeah, the game. I mean, Capcom knows what they're doing.
Yeah, hell yeah. This game is the Devil May Cry series is in a good place. Gaming's in a good place. I feel it's one of those series, and I'm just happy to see it be where it's at.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, not much else I could really say other than that game is crispy, man. But there's a lot of games that look amazing out right now, but for whatever reason, that one just takes the cake for me.
Yeah.
If you tell me there's a VR mod for Devil May Cry 5, I'm gonna both freak out and throw up at the same time because that'd be way too much.
Yeah, nothing I'm aware of right now.
Oh,
but that's gonna lead into our next category, which is Game of the Decade.
Yes, I love this category.
I mean, we're coming to the end of a decade here. I mean, 2020 is just a couple days away, and we've come a long way since 2010. And I don't know, we've got to see a lot of crazy shit happen over the last decade. I mean, VR has become a thing.
VR's a thing.
Fully
and we all have it.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
And it was kickstarted at the beginning of the decade. 2011, 2012 is when Oculus first kind of got kickstarted, and I mean, it's been awesome seeing the market flourish. And I'm just gonna dive right into it. You guys know what's happening.
It's the Scrim Scram podcast.
That's all I do. It's what I love. I bought it for my brother for the Switch. I bought it on 360 initially, and then I got it on PC, and then I got the special edition because they upgraded it, and then it came for free, so I got it. And then I got it on VR. And now I play in VR, and that's the only thing I do these days. Ever really,
other than modding it,
Yeah, well, I'm either modding Skyrim VR or playing Skyrim VR or waiting for a mod update for Skyrim VR. And man, it's been crazy. I mean, so first, let's just roll some of that beautiful Skyrim.
Oh yeah. I apologize for my delay.
It's all good. Everybody knows what it looks like. There's nothing new here. But I tell you what. Playing this shit in VR, if you had told me, in 2011, when I first started playing this game, that I would eventually play it in VR, doing what I do now, I wouldn't believe you.
No way.
I wouldn't believe you. I would have been okay, sure, show me when that's a thing.
Yeah.
And
show me a headset, bro.
Yeah. And, oh my god, man. I mean, it's everything I ever wanted from gaming, like in a box. Like it's just so much fun. The mod scene is just insane right now.
Yeah.
For the special edition and for just VR. And in a couple weeks we're gonna have another big mod, like a dependency style mod that like other mods need. So we're basically on parity in VR with like special edition.
Wow. Oh, that's
like,
cool. That's good.
It's wild, man.
Oh, man.
The VR AK guy, Prog0111, the developer for the VR AK mod.
Yeah.
He just released a hand tracking update or finger tracking update.
What?
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't do full index support, but it does Oculus level tracking.
That's cool.
So
that's nice.
Yeah. So now you've got like finger support in the game.
I like how in your fingers I can totally see.
Yeah. So you've got index style, you know, all of they just but you've got your rift style, which is your 3 or your 1.
I feel like we're in the VR podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, that's funny as hell.
Yeah, but it's amazing, dude. I can't believe how far it's come, and the game is still relevant. With the modding scene has never been better, and it just keeps the game thriving. There's always just new adventures, new stuff coming out.
It's never gonna die.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Skyrim is eternal.
Yeah, and I'll keep playing it. I mean, it's just such. Honestly, though, like if on like a critical level, kind of mediocre game in a lot of ways, but like in some ways, like but like it's at the same time just so expansive and such a perfect blank slate.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Like there's such a good foundation for adding on to it. I don't know. Love this game. I'll never stop playing it.
Oh yeah. It might be your game of next decade.
Could be. Yeah. We'll see in 10 years if I'm still playing it.
I mean,
probably.
I don't know, man. I just hope Elder Scrolls 6 at least comes out next decade and gives 5 a run for its money.
No, we're gonna Elder Scrolls 76 first, bro.
Yeah,
oh God.
That was blasphemous.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what about your game of the decade?
You go first.
All right.
You go first, bro.
All right. It's Bloodborne.
Hey.
It's Bloodborne. Love me some Bloodborne, man. That was the first game that got me excited about having a PlayStation 4. It's just a complete package. It's a vision perfectly executed.
It's intense.
It's intense.
It's very intense.
It's violent. It's
gory.
It's gory.
It's very gory.
It's spooky. It's Lovecraftian nightmare, just a wonderful little package. I could go on. I don't know what it is, but it's like an evolution of a type of gameplay that only one developer, one director seems to have. I mean, you know what? I've heard The Surge 2 is really good. Gosh, there was another game that came out. I can't remember the name of it.
What was the vampire one?
Code Vein. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's it. Code Vein came out. Remnant from the Ashes came out. Neo 2. I mean, like, you've got a good amount of games that are kind of seeing this and being like, okay, I get it. And they're starting to understand. But Hidetaka Miyazaki had something special here. And he, I'm not done praising him tonight. But, man, Bloodborne was just so great. I mean, definitely recommend both of you guys give it a go. I mean, you and I have played Bloodborne.
Yeah. This is making me want to get back into it, though. It's been a long time since I've sat down with Bloodborne.
I encourage it.
But it is a good one, man.
It's good times, man, and the good times are not over. So, yeah, I'm happy for it. It's my game of the decade, and the only contest for it really was Breath of the Wild, and I thought about it, and as much as I love Breath of the Wild, this is a perfect game. This game is perfect.
Damn, the fact that it beat Breath of the Wild for you says a lot, bro. It says a ton.
Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. But now we can get to your game of the decade.
For me, it's The Witcher 3, man.
The Witcher 3.
The Witcher 3 was something that just blew my mind. Most of it at first was the world.
Yeah.
How realistic it was. I mean, I grew up kind of between city and being up in the mountains, right? So I had a lot of experience in the woods and going to like rural areas and checking it out.
Yeah.
And the world, like you mentioned, the copy paste, now everything was different everywhere you went. They had
Yeah.
the regions, they had Skellige Islands, they even added Toussaint later on in the DLC.
Yep.
And all of it is, sometimes I just go up a hill and you see the sunset and like, oh, well, I gotta take a screenshot or have a save
Exactly.
independently for this scene, so just come live this
come
over
back,
whenever I want, you know?
Love that.
Yeah.
And the DLC, I mentioned Toussaint in the Blood and Wine DLC, they did DLC the right way. You know,
Yeah.
they gave you
Oh, yeah.
full-on addition. They felt like added games. You feel like you got a couple of sequels or maybe like a 3.5. And it started at 3, ended up 3.5, you know? And there's so much there that you can do even outside of this story. You know, like you just want to go hunt beasts or even Gwent. I give you good shit for Gwent all the time, right?
I love
But
Gwent.
the fact that it's there and people can dive that deep into it, and it's something I literally spent not one unrequired second with, right?
You would love it if you put the time in, though. That's the thing. It's like this is your game of the decade, and Gwent is a part of
Gwent.
that
I feel
game.
Like you can't say that with that.
I can. Here's how I'll play Gwent with a real fucking deck of Gwent cards.
Shit, dude, if they had real Gwent deck cards, I would
I'll print one, dude.
print me a Northern
If that
Realms.
happens-
Print me Northern Realms.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my faction.
For sure.
If that happened, I would learn. It's just something about cards in video games. I can't do it.
I will straight pay you guys if we can make that happen. Like, I'll put some money into the channel so we can
I feel
make
like somebody's already made decks, and I'm just gonna look on that for look for that on Etsy and see what happens.
Yeah.
If it happens, we'll do a Gwent cast. I don't give a fuck.
Gwent cast.
We'll do a Gwent cast. I'll relent to that. But as long as it's in real life with cards.
I'm cool with it. I mean, you know, we're gonna have to do. It's a 1v1 type of game, so we'll have to, you know, kind of switch off.
Do a
But
little tourney.
yeah, exactly. Mini tournament, but I'm down anyway. That sounds awesome.
I'm with that.
Yes.
But even back to the game. So I mean, you guys both played it through at least the main mission,
Twice,
right?
yeah.
The Wild Hunt.
I've played it through
So
twice.
the end of the Wild Hunt portion, when you got to see if you can make everybody show up and all that, all the choices you made throughout the game, through your romances, through who you wanted to help, through all of that, it really meant something.
It
So
was
many
like
games
Mass
make you
Effect,
feel, they give you the illusion of choice and impact. This was not one that gave you that illusion. That was, you really were about what you were about in this game. And I love that, man. And Geralt, and here's the other thing too: the fact that The Witcher's out now on Netflix, and Harry Cavill's nailing Geralt the way he is
Wow.
it's kind of scary.
Well, it's
kind of fucking scary.
It's so good, and it I feel like it adds more credence to the games for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's the best adaptation of a video game I've seen in like a television or film format, where they've like, and it's not because they didn't adapt the video game, they adapted the books,
Right.
but it's the same, you know, universe or thing. Usually you don't go like books to video game to TV. You know, it's like books to movie or books to TV.
Yeah.
Or like, and you get the video game spin-off later. You know, so I don't know. It's nice though seeing it have the right inspiration from both the books and the video game.
Agreed.
Like the music on the show.
Yes.
Like straight up from the game, and it's
Yeah, and Geralt's look and voice.
Yeah.
You know, like that's that Geralt.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But also, I hope it kind of sparks maybe that format happening more often, where you go book to be like maybe more developers are looking for interesting stories in the literary world, as opposed to this movie could be a cool. Let's do this adaptation. No, that way I feel like you can take like a story and what's said, but you have total freedom to create the visuals. You don't have to follow something that's already there aside from a narrative. You know, and this I think now you mention that. I think it has a lot to do with why I love The Witcher so much, because the lore, how deep everything was, and I think that had a lot to do with the realistic world creation, because it's a series of books that built that world, you know.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's like the fact that both, I mean, the game and the show are both based on the books, and both are doing a really good job in a lot of similar ways in as far as capturing the essence of that world and just everything that the story and the introduction of that world entails. So it's just been really cool. To see like you said, we've only watched the first episode both, but I mean, we'll talk more about the show.
Once you guys
Absolutely, and it's so far so good, man. Like, gosh, and the games. I mean, I don't know if you guys played the first two Witchers. I did not.
I have them, but I haven't played them.
Yeah,
I played like probably 3 or 4 hours of the second Witcher, but I haven't played the first. It's something I want to get into eventually, and I'm gonna one time, at least try and hack through it.
Exactly. But yeah, no, it's this third one just killed it. They just killed it with this The Witcher 3 The Wild Hunt. Like, just took the world by storm in 2015. The thing is, this show, the Netflix adaptation coming out, actually helped boost sales for the game again.
Oh, dude, yeah, there's been like a resurgence in players again.
Yeah.
There's been up to almost the max concurrency for when the game released. So the peak player count was like almost 100,000. Like when the game first released, and it was up to like 85 in the last week or two.
That's pretty cool.
They signed the deal to make more games too.
CD Projekt Red.
I was like, okay,
that's cool.
Go. I hope the next one's series based. That'd be cool.
Witcher 4
Cirilla action
on PlayStation 5 and computer and everything. Dang. I mean, we're not.
See, it's Cyberpunk first.
Hey, let's slow down. It's Game of the Year talk. It's
Game
of the Year talk. Not Game of next year, years to come.
Game of next decade.
Game of the decade, though. The Witcher 3 is for sure.
Honestly, I might get a third playthrough in on the Witcher 3. I still have to play through the DLCs because I got stuck on one of them, and I might just have to. You gotta help me find the armor. I think that's what's killing me. I don't know. I don't know why I'm stuck, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But okay, so we talked about Game of the Decade. We talked about all that other stuff. We got overall.
We got 2 categories left, my friends.
All right. Let's see.
The next one, at least in the list I created in my head. Next is the VR Game of the Year. We're big VR fans here.
Yes,
so
we are.
It's a big category for us.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just gonna go right into mine. Boneworks, Boneworks, baby.
Boneworks.
It's been a great year for VR. I mean, we've seen a lot of cool shit come out, but Boneworks, like, it's one of those games that just like they're taking a lot of chances and they get a lot of things right.
Yeah.
It's so physically based in everything, and it's very weird, and it breaks a lot of rules, but like also like creates new ones. Like your whole body's physically based in the game, and like picking everything up, and just moving through the environment.
Oh my gosh,
it's just super fun.
Oh man. Oh
yeah.
man.
Yeah. And it does a lot of cool tricks in VR. Like there's this one scene towards the end of a level. This is at the end of this level, actually. Where you break through. I can't even explain it. It's just not. The words aren't going to do the metaphor justice. But like you go up to like this LED virtual wall, and like it's one of the coolest effects I've seen in VR. Like that I feel like only works well in VR.
That's
how to explain it.
I've seen a few effects in VR that actually make me feel like I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Like graffiti, Graffiti Kings, where you spray paint the wall and you watch the paint dry.
Yeah.
And you can see the reflections, and then they go away.
Yeah.
You're like,
yeah.
Wait, I just watched paint dry in fucking VR, and it was amazing. So I feel I don't know what you mean.
All right. Yeah, no, what you're conjuring up in my head as far as images and what that might be with the experience, that's interesting to just even think about. Imagine conceptualizing that and trying to market and sell that to a team where they green light it for you and be like, okay.
Yeah.
So, that's interesting to think about. Though, I mean, I'm excited to give it a go. So thank you very much, man. I appreciate
Merry
that.
Christmas. Yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
But it's a great game. Definitely, I mean, it's more motion sickness intense than any other game I've played on its scale. You know, like
Right.
you wouldn't think that. I mean, like some shooters or like first-person games can be, you know, kind of motion sickness inducing, but the climbing is where it kind of gets me.
Okay. And I mean, coming from you, that's kind of saying something because you don't really get that.
It's
motion
but
sickness often.
It's interesting. I'm hoping they kind of tune some things or give you some better options. But there's so many motion options in it, and it's very comfortable.
Nice.
Once you get things dialed in.
Okay.
It's definitely advanced VR.
Yeah. It ain't for the introductory.
Yeah, not a good game
game
to demo for the first time.
Well, I mean, good news is we got our legs in, so this will be fun.
Yeah.
This will be fun. So, I guess I'll, go in and let you guys know VR Game of the Year for me.
Mm-hmm.
Asgard's Wrath, baby. That is a full-fledged, like, action-adventure, like, deal. You got the combat, the swords and shields, and being a god and having all these powers and just being able to do all this cool stuff. And this is an experience that's gonna last you like a good 40 hours, give or take, maybe even longer if you decide you want to do more with it, and you totally can. It's awesome. It's so much fun. It's been too long since I've played it, to be honest. I gotta, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
I was expecting that.
That does not get old. Very satisfying combat, puzzles, exploration. I remember, it's just really satisfying when it's like, you're stuck on an area for a little while, and then you kind of think about what you forgot to, once you figure it out. It's just, you figure it out, it's really satisfying. And there's another game that I'll talk about that more on, and you can't say moron on TV. We'll get back to it.
No, this game looks phenomenal, man. This is definitely one I really want to play.
Honestly,
I'm excited it's out.
I'm surprised I beat you guys to it. It's I've been ready for it, and it's here and it's fun.
Yeah, it looks phenomenal. Like, it's what we need, man. It's the next step up,
Right.
Exactly. Just wait until Half-Life, though. Gosh.
That's gonna be a big one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wait.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I'm super hyped for Half-Life, too.
Exactly. So, we got VR Game of the Year for...
Yeah. For me, mine is... I don't even know if I would put it as a full-fledged game. It's more of an experience I've always wanted to live out in my life, and I was provided through a game, which I'm kind of segueing into our next category with, too. But, my VR experience here is Ace Combat 7, and because it's not a full-fledged experience, I'll kind of hyphenate or do a / Trover Saves the Universe, even though not all the way through that game.
Sure.
Phenomenal game, and I feel like I'd be an asshole for not mentioning it, having
exciting.
spent time with it,
Yes.
But I'll get to that after I talk about this Ace Combat thing, man, because I don't think I've had a finer moment in video games than blasting Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone and sitting in the cockpit and just firing off missiles at MiGs and all this stuff, man. It's awesome because I like playing it with the base controller, but I have a HOTAS setup, so I got the flight stick, and I'm sitting here following bogeys and tracking bogeys in real life, looking behind me. And it's awesome when you're flying and you're just looking around. You see the reflections change in real time on the inside of the shell of the cockpit and the canopy. And just looking around at all the meters and everything, you are in that plane, man. And they give you 4 different ones that you can go through. There's 3 different missions. They're full missions too, and I don't know, man. It made me like, my adrenaline was just, I get out and I'd be like, wow. It's a theme park ride, If it was 10 years ago and you strap somebody into that shit alone at Disneyland, that'd be a full-fledged definitely bonus. People would pay money for that, like a lot for one time.
They'd wait in line for that.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. So to have that in your living room feels kind of crazy, right? But yeah, man, I've never had more fun in VR. I feel like I'm just beaming right now, even thinking about it. I hope they make it fully playable at some point, or somebody comes out with a full-on game like that. But that being said, Trover Saves the Universe, Justin Roiland and Squanch Games, bro, they're so hilarious, but they love video games, and it shows. Like, it's very well done, man. And it's a good game. The story's cool. It's very similar in execution to Astrobot on PlayStation VR.
Yeah.
But they don't. It doesn't come off like they straight up bit their style. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it takes the best stuff and it shows you it's a credit. It's almost like paying homage in a way and doing their own thing. But Justin Roiland's fingerprints are all over it. Yeah. You're gonna laugh your asses off all the way through this thing.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. I'm excited for y'all to play that game, man. Yeah. But yeah, so that I had to put that in the base combat. What takes the cake for me, and that's also segueing into our next category. For our big one, it's Game of the Year for 2019.
The
big one. And that's my Game of the Year is Ace Combat 7.
I mean, it's a resurgence for the series. You know?
It's a return to form.
Yeah.
It really is. Because they've had some releases, and I've played them. One reminded me kind of like of Call of Duty in the Sky, Ace Combat Assault. And it was fun for what it was, but it left me wanting a lot. And it disappointed me in the fact that you guys don't need to do this. There's enough people doing this, There's Call of Duty already on the ground. I don't need it in the air, Yeah. But this one went back to the ones I grew up on. I mean, I remember last time I played like this, I want to say it was Ace Combat 4 on PlayStation 2. Shout out to my boy Noah back in like 2004. Yeah. I want to say when I was at Portland State. After practice at school, we'd go over and just geek out and swap on levels and all that. And that's the last one I remember being like an old school. Because I missed 5. I know 5 was, I just didn't play it.
Right.
But yeah, so I've been essentially waiting for 15 years for this game to come out.
Yeah. Long time coming, man.
And it didn't disappoint me. Yeah. I'm playing the DLC right now, and I'm happy and giddy about it. Yeah. Even the multiplayer online is fun. Yeah. So yeah, man. I mean, the graphics, the clouds. When you fly through the clouds and it messes your missile tracking up and the condensation builds up on your canopy and all that and your plane ices up. There's just so much cool shit there, man. Yeah. You gotta play that game if you're a fan of flight games. Straight up. Nice. Straight up. Do yourself the service. Yeah. And I didn't even pull up the freaking footage. I'm so excited talking about it. I'll at least give them a little taste of the Ace Combat real quick so they can see it. But
Danger Zone.
Yeah, bro. Danger Zone. This isn't showing you the VR view at all, but just imagine being in that motherfucker, flying around. You know what's intense? Not even just knocking someone down. When you're in that thing and you hear missile alert, you're like, oh crap, you trying to evade missiles and all that?
Yeah. I mean, the regular gameplay looks intense as it is.
It's hard. And you were talking about earlier with Bonewitch before we got on the air with the checkpoint system.
Yeah.
Some of these missions, bro, my only gripe with this game, some of them you have to accumulate a certain amount of points in a certain time limit, and it's like a half-hour time limit. You gotta build up a lot, and if you come up like just a little short, you start all the way from the jump. Yeah. There's several points in their missions in this game like that, but you feel so satisfied when you finish it and you knock it out. So yeah, I'm gonna be playing this game for a long time. Can't wait for 8. Don't make me wait another 15 years, please. Right. Maybe make it fully VR playable.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah, but Ace Combat 7 for me, took me some deliberation in my mind, but I felt I was like, is this really my game of the year? Yes. It really is my game of the year.
That's cool.
Yeah. What about y'all, man? I should just go like this.
Right, exactly. But I mean, honestly, Bloodborne was my game of the decade, and you know what, man? Dark Souls is one of my games of the decade, and Sekiro is one of my games of the decade. But for 2019, it is Sekiro. Sekiro was great. I thought it was going to be Death Stranding, and I had a lot more fun with Sekiro. It was the combat. It's just so gratifying. So, you just feel so accomplished when and that's the thing. It's like, video games in and of themselves as an interactive entertainment, it's all about mastering systems, right? It's getting good, as they call it.
Get good.
That's the whole fun of the game, is getting good. And when you get good at Sekiro, god damn, you get good at Sekiro, and it is awesome. And next time I play it, I'm going as difficult. Like, there's 2 things that you can do to make the game more difficult, and I'm going to do both of those things and just get through and do as much of it as I can. When I come back to it, I platinumed the game, so I kind of want to stay away from it for a little while. But, wow, the stealth, the overworld exploration, the verticality that they added into the exploration with the hook and the all that stuff, the stealth and the boss fights. I could go on, man. It's another complete vision. I cannot believe Activision published this game. Wow.
Yeah, it makes you excited for Elden Ring. What they might do with that too.
Honestly, man, I am excited, but man, this came out of nowhere, kind of. I got Bloodborne in 2015 and then Dark Souls in 2016, and I like Dark Souls 3, but I don't like it as much as this. I don't like it as much as Bloodborne. So Bloodborne held me over this long, and it felt like all that time just kind of snapped by, and all of a sudden I got a full new FromSoft experience that was just this fresh. And the difficulty of these games is pretty subjective. I think some of these games are easier and more difficult than others, but you'll hear all over the spectrum for this kind of stuff. And it was difficult. It was actually particularly difficult because of how much Dark Souls and Bloodborne I had played in my past. It's muscle memory to kind of just jam the circle button to dodge and get the fuck out of there. But that doesn't really help you in the same sense in this game. So it I don't know. It was interesting to kind of have to learn again and shake things up, but the story was pretty cool. The 4 different endings were pretty cool. The world design and the having it go Japanese and having the Japanese voice acting and stuff. I don't know why, but I really liked that, and it was something cool to shake things up. But it was very much a From Software game. It was very much a Miyazaki game, and I'm all about it. That's just you just get undeniable quality out of those experiences. So
for sure,
I was really happy with it. I'm really glad it won overall Game of the Year from Video Game Awards. I think it deserved it.
No, I feel the same way. I haven't played through the game yet, but it's the only game that came out this year that to me really feels like it's earned the title.
Yeah.
It feels like it's a culmination of the mastery of game design from the studio.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's definitely high on my list, and I'm excited to get through it. But it's I don't know. Looking over things that at least what I played this year, I didn't play many new games, so it's it's hard for me to say 2019 Game of the Year is. I don't know, Skyrim.
Skyrim.
Honestly,
what came in second though? What came in second? Modding.
Modding
Skyrim.
Modding Skyrim.
I don't know. If I look at my year in review, it's Skyrim, a lot of Destiny, recently a lot of Star Citizen,
Nice.
but before that, I don't know. Just been all over the map, but I didn't play a lot of new stuff this year. But yeah, I endorse Sekiro as Game of the Year for this year. I think it deserves the crown. I don't really have too much to say about it otherwise because I haven't played it. But I endorse.
We'll have a fun discussion about it once you have, and we'll get Adam on board as well.
I can't wait, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go through that shit.
And it probably is even more buttery smooth on computer, and obviously they have mods for it there. I've seen some mods where you can play as someone from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and you start the game going, shit, here we go again. You can play as Woody from Toy Story.
What?
Yeah, and it's just it's Woody with a sword, and he's
people.
just slaying.
There's a snake in my boots.
That's awesome.
So,
but that's I think that's it for our Game of the Year roundup.
That's it, man.
We've got a lot to talk about next time for what's coming in 2020.
Yeah,
it's a big year.
Let's
preview.
just not even open that can of worms right now.
Yep, exactly.
It's a big one.
It's
a big one, especially the front half.
Oh man,
Yeah.
We got a lot to talk about next time.
We'll be back in 10 years to talk about our game of the decade in 2020s, and
it's Cyberpunk 2077.
well, honestly, that's the thing, man. We genuinely have so many great games coming out this year that in 2029 we seriously we might have multiple nominees from next year.
Yeah, right. I know.
The only things that Starfield might come out next year. I don't think it will. I'm not going to try and say that it's coming out next year, but it could come out next year. It's coming out at some point this decade. Elder Scrolls 6, Beyond Good and Evil 2, Breath of the Wild 2, Elden Ring. None of those are confirmed for next year, but they could be. Bayonetta 3, you know, we got a lot coming out.
Hey, you know what? You guys, you just...
I need to stop.
There's too much to get into.
There is. I'm gonna say one thing about the next decade that is not at all involved with any future release. Just saying, Deus Ex Human Revolutions take place in 2027. So,
If there was just like the real thing,
huh?
Like just like that shit happening.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. Watch the prosthetics, man. That's all.
Right.
That's all.
Yep.
2020s.
Don't put a chip in your head. Don't let anyone put a chip in your head.
I mean, try and
Oh
stop.
God, yeah, don't.
Nope.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, just you know.
Put chips in your head.
Put
Potato
tortilla
chips
in your head.
mouth and
Yeah.
chew and
Chips
swallow.
with guac
Yes.
in your mouth.
Oh yeah.
Put those chips in your head.
Oh yeah, especially during the Seahawks 49ers game tonight.
Yeah,
Let's go Seahawks. Woo! Full circle. That's game of the year. These were our game of the years. Hip Hop for Life. Game
Hip-Hop
Related
for Life.
Network. Let's go.
Happy New Year, folks.
Happy New Year, everybody. See y'all next year.